Once again, a beautiful Monday morning to you and happy new month, first day in the month of June. Monday, starting off the new month, so it just shows you that probably we're going to be having a very serious June. June is going to be very serious and hopefully productive for you as well. My name is Chuck. You're welcome to Ray Power 100.5 FM, still the ultimate morning show, and it's time for us to take a look at what the dailies are saying. It's 33 minutes past 7. Don't forget, you can stream us live on YouTube right about now. Ray Power Abuja going forward as well for the political platform later on at 9 a.m. Just search for Ray Power Abuja and get locked in. All right, so starting off with the front page of the Daily Monitor, we have abduction. Tinubu approves 1,000 forest guards for Oyo, deploys rescue team. As NUT directs Oyo teachers to begin indefinite strike June 1st. That starts on the front page and continues on page 3. Economic reforms yet to fully impact businesses. That's coming from NECA, says declining consumer purchasing power, increasing production expenses has placed pressure on businesses. That starts on the front page as well and continues on page 2 of the Daily Monitor. Nigeria can't be intimidated by insurgents. That's coming from the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, on page 2. DSS nabs 5 suspects linked to Papiri school kidnap in Niger, page 4. Obasanjo advocates early cancer detection at Lagos to the World Memorial Initiative on page 5. 2027, Vice President won't be spare tire in my government. That's coming from Peter Obi on page 2. IGP cautions against indiscriminate recording, circulation of officers' videos, says misuse of such video materials could undermine officers' morale, distort public perception, negatively affect ongoing security operations. Starts on the front page, continues on page 2. And that's the front page of the Daily Monitor. And now to the Standard Times. Oyo abduction. Tinubu approves 1,000 forest guards, deploys special rescue team, considers military base request. That's on the front page and continues on page 2. FAN, Lagos government step up Ebola surveillance at MMIA. Starts on the front page, continues on page 3. NSCDC arraigns Chinese nationals, other 24 suspects over illegal mining activities in Nasarawa, page 2. Man allegedly under influence of drugs runs over, kills 2 soldiers in Delta, page 4. Say no to drugs today. Tinubu's 3rd anniversary week is set to 31 days to commission projects in FCT, page 3 of the Standard Times. Refer Nigeria to Security Council over abductions, killings. Serap urges UN chief, page 2. NDLEA intercepts hard drugs hidden in water purifiers from Europe, seizes 380 rounds of ammunition in Kaduna on page 2. 2027 ADC Atiku won't get 10% in Rivers, Wike vows, page 3. Zamfara police nabs 3 notorious armed bandits, kills 1 in a recent raid on page 4. NAFDAC seals 16 unregistered water factories in Rivers, page 3. And that's the front page of the Standard Times. Now, moving along to the Daily Global, we have Oyo school abductions. Tinubu deploys 1,000 forest guards, tactical rescue team. We also have NDLEA uncovers illicit drug consignments in water purifier machines from Europe. Oyo APC primary. Sharafuddin Ali revives primate Ayodele's prophecy on Adebayo Adelabu. Well, you want to find out what that is all about? Daily Global has that story for you. Activist urges FG to implement Nigeria Peace Corps, ignore state police. ACDC celebrates children as future of Marlborough community. Troops for kidnap attempts, neutralize terrorists, recover weapons in Kogi. Army rescues 92 kidnapped civilians in Borno, neutralizes IEDs. That starts on the front page of the Daily Global. Now to the Daily Newscraft. Crisis looms. Workers threaten nationwide strike. Demand sovereign national conference. NGF pushes for 100,000 naira minimum wage. They deserve 1 million naira. That's coming from the NLC. Starts on the front page and continues on page 2. My nomination as Obi's running mate called to serve Nigeria. That's coming from Kwankwaso on page 10. Insecurity. APC berates Makinde for blaming federal government, demands his resignation on page 10. Illegal mining. NSCDC arraigns 15 Chinese, 9 Nigerians in Nasarawa, page 7. Nigerian MSMEs bear brunt of reform pains, NECA warns, page 9. Subsidy removal saved Nigeria from bankruptcy, says Tinubu. Starts on the front page, continues on page 2, and that's the front page of the Daily News Craft. Now to Al Jazeera Nigeria, we have 2027. Tunde Bakare slams politicians, says they are overly consumed with next elections, page 9. Governor Kefas mourns Al Jazeera correspondent Ben Adaji, starts on the front page, continues on page 2. Africa's $4 trillion savings must work for development. So that's coming from the AFDB on page 20. Future leaders. France shortlists Plateau governors. Aide Manji, page 16. Obasanjo advocates early cancer detection at Lagos to the World Memorial Initiative, page 9. Economic reforms yet to fully impact businesses, page 5, read from NECA there. Bandits kill prominent Islamic cleric in Kwara community, page 8. Etsunupe urges sustained prayers for peace, stability, page 2. Rainbow Coalition yet to endorse governorship candidate, that's coming from Nyesom Wike, FCT minister, on page 17. 2027, Turaki-led PDP adopts Jonathan as presidential candidate, page 6. To the Authority newspaper, DSS nabs foreigners linked to Papiri school kidnapping, recovers 15 AK rifles, 1,434 live ammo. Starts on the front page, continues on page 2. 2027, Natfiu Bala's ADC faction unveils Chris Uba as presidential candidate, page 5. World Milk Day, FG to strengthen dairy sector through gender-responsive policies, page 10. INEC team observes election in South Korea, page 4. NDC disowns social media primary results, says only NEC can announce winners, page 11. Benga Hashim emerges Accord Party presidential candidate on page 2 of the Authority. Anambra government places 50 million naira permit fee on political campaign billboard branded vehicles, page 3. Viral video of armed Fulani men in Ikorodu is 3-year-old. That's coming from the Lagos State Police on page 7. Now, Observer Times, DSS nabs 5, including 2 foreign collaborators linked to Papiri school kidnap, recovers large armed cash, 15 AK rifles, 1,434 live ammunition. That's the major story from the Observer Times, leading on page 1 of the paper. Court fixes June 3rd to hear Gombe's suit against Mark Aregbesola over ADC leadership, page 4. WHO warns tobacco industry targeting Nigerian youths with addictive products, page 5. ADC approves presidential governorship primary election results, page 6. NNPCL recorded 481 billion naira profits in April. That's the story on page 7. And NDC disowns primary results, summons NEC to ratify outcome, page 3. The Daily Independent is up next. We have tax hikes, rising costs drive decline in Nigeria's air travel. Starts on the front page and continues on page 29. Court hears suit seeking to oust David Mark as ADC chair June 3rd. That's on page 29. Serap urges UN chief to invoke Article 99 over Nigeria's security crisis, page 6. IGP warns against indiscriminate sharing of police videos, page 6. APC primaries, Tinubu intervenes to resolve nationwide crisis. Order suspension of planned protest by Iyaloja General. Lagos APC will follow national leadership's directive. Ojelabi there, starting on the front page and continuing on page 28. FG's economic reforms yet to fully impact businesses. The story on page 7. WEF warns of new inflation shock for Nigeria. Others starts on the front page, continues on page 7, and that's the front page of the Daily Independent. We'll go on a very short break and return with business stories. Just stay with us.
This is the newspaper review.
Welcome back. It's still the Ultimate Morning Show on Radio Power 100.5 FM, and we're still taking a look at the dailies. Now, looking at the business angle of things, the business diary here. Nigeria crumbles under insecurity, loses trillions of naira investments as experts advocate massive security investments. Page 2. Telecom operators battle 140 billion naira spendings on electricity supply. Page 12. Dangote Refinery cuts petrol, diesel prices to 1,250 naira and 1,750 naira, respectively, on page 14. Non-oil trade between Nigeria and UAE now $5 billion on page 4. Equities investors reap 431 billion naira weekly gains. Page 9. Customs sustains economic drive, calls for unity on page 14. And NDIC strengthens deposit insurance funds, dismisses government interventions. Page 8. That's the front page of the business diary, and that's it for the dailies this morning. We took a look at the Daily Monitor, the Standard Times, the Daily Global, Daily Newscraft. We also looked at Al Jazeera Nigeria, the Authority newspaper, Observers Times, Daily Independent, and business stories from the business diary there as well. All right, so this morning, starting off with what is still happening in Oyo State, with the president approving 1,000 forest guards for Oyo, deploys rescue team. And, well, we hope they can get that rescue operation up and going and as swiftly as possible. And hopefully, information about that does not leak in terms of what they'll be doing, to rescue those children and the principal, the teachers as well that were kidnapped. And, we just hope that it goes smoothly. There's also a picture of the Oyo State governor on the front page of the Daily Monitor addressing citizens, residents of Oyo State. A video also circulating online with the husband of the principal, going on his knees to beg the Oyo State governor to rescue his wife and the children. I mean, from the husband's point of view, not being able to do anything at this moment, it's a very tough one for him and for all parents as well who are involved directly, families, directly as well, having their kids being kidnapped. It's a very tough one for them, not being able to do anything to rescue them, and they just have to, plead, push, beg those who should be securing their lives and property in Nigeria, in the country. And we just hope that the president will do more with after this approving of 1,000 forest guards for Oyo State. We just want more. We need more, even though it's be taking a political undertone as well with the APC firing back at the governor for what happened in Oyo State. And I mean, even the president in the past as well had even blamed the president about the security situation of things. And you cannot blame anyone as well who's going to be blaming the president for state of insecurity as well in the country, because most of resources, control of the police, army, and all of that resides at the top there. So we need to see more. We need to see better from our security operatives in the fight against insecurity, which is very paramount. The First Lady speaking about it as well, saying there'll be turnaround, will not bow to pressure. But right now, we're being choked up by so many sad stories coming out from different parts of the country, different kidnapping stories, different killings and all of that, which we need to turn around. Even though, yes, there's some incidents of Nigerian security operatives, having the upper hand. I think one of the papers, carried it this morning where they fought an attack as well. Yeah, kudos to them, but we still need more. And hopefully in Oyo State and in Borno as well, all those kids, getting their freedom. And I'm really happy that this has not even been swept under the carpet. Nigerians as well have been very vocal about it, putting a whole lot of pressure on everybody, to do something about it. And I even saw complaints about the Ojude Oba festival, going ahead over the weekend after such an incident happening in Oyo State, saying that it probably should have pushed it, a little bit further. But I mean, it is what it is. You cannot stop people, from gathering and carrying out their festivals and all of that, though. But it's still a must that we have those children, safe from their abductors as well, and no other casualties, hopefully, going forward again. Well, moving on from that story. Okay, also a bit of update on that one before I move on. Nigerian Union of Teachers as well directing all your teachers to begin indefinite strike June 1st, which is today, and then solidarity rallies across the country probably will be holding as well, maybe today or going forward. But we'll see. I think it's good. The NUT as well is speaking up. I mean, one of their own was killed. A lot of people were clamoring for them to speak up, for a long time as well, and they're doing that, and doing it the best way that they can. Now, to the one that concerns the police, the IGP this morning cautioning against indiscriminate recording, circulation of officers' videos. What do I make of this one? Well, it's a very interesting one because first and foremost, when you begin to record, I think some of these officers, even though there's some of them who still go overboard, some of them begin to cool down, in their approach, the way they approach people when they know they are being recorded. Some of them still go overboard, and we've seen that in the past as well, even with video recordings and all cameras in their faces. They still, behave unruly. So I think the IGP as well should go back to his officers, speak to his officers as well. They should give them proper reorientation, trainings, and all of that on how to approach people, how to talk to people. I mean, they see police officers in different parts of the world as well. I'm not saying it's the entire police force. Just, I'm not saying it's the entire police force, but I mean, you can never do enough, even with the police officers who stick to the rules, stick to the code of conduct and all of that. You can never even stop training or reorientating, them about how they approach and behave towards their citizens. I mean, people should feel safe with them on the road, but it's not the case. It really is not the case. And you cannot blame an average Nigerian who carries wears an eyeglass, a metal glass that records and all, or brings out their phone, because first and foremost, you don't know which of them is going to, be very level-headed with you and all of that from their face or by looking at them. You never know until the person, begins to act out. And then we've seen officers, behaving terribly, drinking on duty, smoking. Not long ago, there was one trending, who was in the middle of the road, high and all of that. And, police officers as well need to conduct themselves better in public spaces. They really need to do that as well. And I'm not talking about those who just record unnecessarily, but there are people as well who have, real issues about recording police officers. Look at, for example, during stop and search, people record just to avoid issues of, a police officer put something in my car, which also brings up back to the trust level as well. So I think there's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done in the police force. I don't even want to go into my own personal experiences, with police officers, especially with that stop and search of a thing and something magically just coming out from, your vehicle. So that's one thing as well. People even try to avoid when the police officer says, "Oh, calm down, want to search," and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I understand people's need to record their interactions with the police officers. Also, Nigerian police, please, you need to do well. I know you're doing, your very best with the little resources. It can be frustrating, in terms of resources available to you, taking care of your families, yourself, trying to also protect lives and property of Nigerians as well. your life, which is probably the highest you can do for your nation. Yeah, but also, better interaction with Nigerians going forward. Let Nigerians build that trust with Nigerians, because if you go out there, a lot of Nigerians say, "Oh, police is not your friend," even though we always hear police is your friend. Trust the police. People don't, trust the police, but so there's a disconnect there as well. Well, away from that one, we're still in the political season. You know that in the ADC, they'll be trying to resolve all of their issues as well. After their primaries, Atiku Abubakar has been meeting with the likes of Hayatuddin and Rotimi Amechi, behind closed doors, and I'm guessing they're sorting out their issues. But the FCT minister coming out this morning to say that ADC Atiku won't get 10% in Rivers. Well, he is vowing to work against them once again, which he has done in the past, due to their personal issues in that one. Well, it's also very interesting with what's happening in the PDP. The Turaki faction picking former President Goodluck Jonathan as someone to run for the presidency, for them, those of them who are breaking away. I don't know if they're breaking away from the PDP totally, or they are even now still standing on the fact and saying that they are representing, the PDP, because the wicked side is saying they've not adopted anybody, for that, the Rainbow Coalition and, whatever. It's just showing that the PDP, as it is, still doesn't have their house in order. Even with all the court rulings that we've had, you would have expected probably both parties, both sides, come meet together and find a solution to all their problems. But it looks like they're not doing that. But the funny thing is, so far so good. I don't think there's any official statement from former President Goodluck Jonathan to say that, oh, yes, I'm going to be running for this. No, I'm not going to be running. So everybody's still, wondering, is he going to speak up? Is he going to debunk this? As we've heard from some people who are close saying that, oh, no, he's not going to run. But that story keeps flying, out there. So what's his stance on that one? Or is he just watching, waiting and looking to see how things, turn around? Well, we'll see how that will work for the PDP. But the PDP, as well as it is for 2027, well, not looking like they're going to be a very strong opposition going to the 2027 elections with all of these internal issues still there. And the NDC this morning as well coming out to say that Nigerians should, disregard whatever results are flying around on social media in regards to their primaries, stating that they have not officially put out the results, for the primaries. Well, we'll see what the results for the primaries will hold. But we already know for the presidency, it's going to be Peter Obi, and for the vice, position, it's going to be Kwankwaso, which Mr. Obi is saying that it's not just going to be, one of those vice presidents where you just sit at the corner, you can't do anything, you just look. That's why a lot of people, say that role is just, basically ceremonial, to have somebody there probably to just win elections and all. But Peter will be coming out this morning to say that no, it's not going to be some of the same. We're going to have a vice presidency, role that's going to be active, an individual who's going to be there to work. And that's on the Daily Monitor. 2027, vice president won't be spare tire in my government. We'll see how that pans out. Yeah, very important one from former President Obasanjo advocating early cancer detection at Lagos to the World Memorial Initiative. Yes, out there, please and please go for your checkup, especially for those who have such history in their families as well. Please, early detection is very, very important. So go for your checkup. I think these days they even use take a blood sample and test for such, and you can even reveal cancer and all of that. So please, early detection is very important. And we've seen a lot of young people these days, having cancer on social media. You see very young people. So it's not just this. Before, there used to be the thought that it's just old people, aging when you are aged and all of that. But these days, it's not the case. Even young people have cancer. So early detection is very important. So please go for your checkup, colon cancer and all of that, especially men as well, women, not left behind. If you have such, history in your family, please do well to go check yourself up. Well, that's where we leave it for the papers this morning. We looked at the Daily Monitor, the Standard Times, We looked at the Daily Global. We also looked at the Daily Newscraft. We looked at Al Jazeera Nigeria. We looked at the Authority newspaper. We also looked at Observer's Times. We also looked at the Daily Independent as well. Once again, congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain fans who won the Champions League. I don't know if they are, well, the opposition were Paris Saint-Germain fans over the weekend. Those who do not like the Arsenal and did not want to see the Arsenal, win the Champions League were Paris Saint-Germain. They were Parisans, over the weekend. So congratulations to all of you. You guys, had the upper hand against Arsenal fans. But for Arsenal, still a season to celebrate Premier League after over 22 years. That's not a small one in any way. I mean, you've been on it for a while now. You finally got it. So they did an open bus parade. I think it was too early. A day after losing the Champions League final, probably today would have been a better, day to have done it. But, Sunday was it. The players started off, looking, gloomy, but as the procession, progressed, I think they got into all of the celebration and all of that. So congratulations to you guys for winning the Premier League. Well, next season you try again for the Champions League. And we're getting closer and closer to the World Cup. Sadly, Nigeria is not going to be there. The likes of Scotland have already traveled to the United States. We've already had Tyler Fletcher, that's the son of Darren Fletcher, replacing Billy Gilmore in the team due to an injury. Neymar as well, still on the sidelines. They're still monitoring his injury for Brazil. So a bit of injury issues in some teams, but everybody's already getting set for the World Cup to start this month. And on this dial, we'll definitely be keeping you up to date with all of the results and as this competition comes along. That's it for the newspaper review. The name is Chooks. Still the ultimate morning show on Ray Power 90.5 FM. Don't forget, we'll be joining our network studios for Fact File at 8:30. Political platform at 9 a.m., which you can also stream on YouTube at Ray Power Abuja. My name is Chooks. Good morning and have yourselves a fantastic Monday and month. Bye for now.